Welcome, everybody. It is 1 o'clock Eastern on the dot, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to share more information with you about the application process for this year's Invest in Others Awards. First, to meet your host for today, my name is Jessica Donna McLaughlin, and I serve as the Vice President of Programs and Operations for Invest in Others. This June will actually mark my 10th year with Invest in Others. And I have with me Faith Bitterman. Faith, go ahead.
Thank you, Jess. Hi, everyone. My name is Faith Bitterman. You might have heard from me in your email inbox. I'm a project manager at Invest in Others, and I've been here for almost a year now. And I'm going to turn it over to Julia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia. I'm a program assistant here at Invest in Others. I'm fairly new to the team, but I'm very excited to be here with you all today. And with that, Faith is going to tell us a bit about our agenda for the day.
Thank you, Julia. So before we get started on the agenda, I just want to note a couple of features we have. So below, we have our Q&A feature. We will have a Q&A section at the end of this call, but you're welcome to ask questions utilizing that feature at any time. Just letting you know that any question submitted to that feature is open to everyone unless it's submitted anonymously. You also have the ability to upvote any question that is asked, and that shows us staff that there are more than that there's multiple individuals interested in that question. So with that, I'll just go over our agenda for today. Once again, we're so grateful for your time today and your ability to participate in this webinar. And congratulations to each and every one of you for being nominated for our awards program. Your charitable work has not gone unnoticed, and we really look forward to learning more about your work through the application. So the roadmap for today's webinar will start with a brief overview about our organization, Invest in Others. You'll get the opportunity to meet one of our 2023 honorees who's on the call and learn more about her experience and how the recognition and funding from Invest in Others has made a difference to her and her nonprofit. We'll then review the basics for how to log in and access the application through our grant portal. We'll also go into a deeper dive into what's required within the application form and then some frequently asked questions. We'll close with some key dates and then open it up to a Q&A with everyone. Let's see. And on a last note, this webinar and the one we filmed on last Friday will both be recorded, and a follow-up email will be sent to all attendees with this PowerPoint deck, a video recording of the webinar, and a list of frequently asked questions. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Jess to talk a little bit more about our organization.
Thank you, Faith. So there is a feature down at the bottom of your screen too for raise hand. So by a quick show of hands, who here on the call has heard of Invest in Others before being nominated for the awards this year?
Excellent. We're seeing lots of hands.
Yeah. Great, about a third of you or so. So for those of you who are new to us, Invest in Others is an industry-wide nonprofit that really provides a platform for financial advisors to make an impact on the causes that they care about. Our goals are twofold. First, it's to shine a spotlight on the good that's happening in the industry. And second, most importantly, help advisors further their charitable work by increasing visibility and donating funding to the nonprofits that are important to them. Since our founding in 2006, we've awarded over $6 million to charities, and more than 70% of this has been awarded in the last 5 years alone. Our flagship program is the Invest in Others Awards, which is the program that you've been nominated for. And this recognizes financial advisors for giving back to nonprofits across the country and around the world. It's truly about what the financial advisor is doing to make a difference with the nonprofit and those that it serves. And speaking of advisors, Faith is going to introduce you all to our special guest today.
Thank you, Jess. So I would like to welcome Kristen Morgan to the call. Kristen was honored as a recipient in the community service category for her work with the Hope House Foundation. Kristen, please, we would love to hear more from you about your own personal experience with the Invest in Others Awards, more about the nonprofit Hope House Foundation, and yeah, Kristen, welcome.
Awesome. Can you ladies and everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. My video is disabled, but it says that's due to the host. So I don't know if you just want to put my big mugshot up there or if you want to see me be a little bit more animated.
Here, I'll add you as a host, so that might help with that. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. Well, what an honor again to be asked to be, to actually speak at this afternoon. It was probably one of the most incredible experiences of my life, finding out about Invest in Others and having the opportunity to submit an application on behalf of the nonprofit that I support. And I also serve as a board member of the Hope House Foundation in Huntersville, North Carolina. Faith, Jessica, Julia, I know you're a little bit newer, but I've got to give you ladies the utmost credit and just so much accolades because of everything that you have done and my personal experience with Invest in Others. Again, it was a phenomenal event last year. I was absolutely thrilled to even be part of the nomination process, let alone win. It was just an amazing experience. One of the biggest takeaways I had was working with the other financial advisors or financial folks that had been nominated in these different positions, to meet these people that are dealing with nonprofits all over the world was an amazing experience for me. And I was able to take back a lot of good things from this award ceremony and from the people that I met to incorporate here on a local level in the Lake Norman, North Carolina area. So hands down, start to finish too, I got to tell you, it was a very kind of interesting yet nerve-wracking process because you kind of didn't know what to expect along the way. But at the same time, Faith and Jessica and the team really kept you very engaged as to knowing what next steps were and really had a deep thought process out from start to finish, all the way from when you figure out you're nominated. So congratulations to everybody who's on the call today, because that indeed is a feat in itself. So again, congratulations. So from there being nominated up until the event in September, October, it was a really neat process. And our group has even gone so far as to have kind of an alumni meeting after the fact, where we're meeting once a month or once every other month to share what everybody's doing on a financial basis, but also with our nonprofits. So it's really been a cool experience to see where the money has gone to be spent, how other nonprofits are growing. And, it couldn't have come at a better time for our nonprofit more on kind of a personal nonprofit level. The Hope House was in the process and is continuing to be in the process of expanding and kind of casting a wider net in our community. So to have been the recipient and be able to bring home this additional funding, it was just an amazing feat. And, one of the things that I would encourage you all to take advantage of, and I did, but I didn't to the fullest extent just because of extenuating circumstances, but Invest in Others does a fantastic job promoting you. Don't not take advantage of this. I wish I'd done a little bit more of that in my community, as far as through just networking and different types of publications and resources to get not only our name out and the Hope House's name out there, but also Invest in Others. I have a handful of friends who are also advisors in this community for different organizations, Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, independent advisors across the board. And the majority of them hadn't even, or may have heard about Invest in Others, but didn't know a whole lot about it. So for me to be able to share that with other advisors, kind of given the stipulations of how frequently you can, put your nomination in and actually win, to be able to spread that to other advisors in the area, to have them have the ability to throw their names in the hat, is kind of cool too, because, you're all working for the greater good of to give back to these nonprofits. And essentially Invest in Others is a great platform for us to be able to, again, cast that wider net. So it was really neat to be able to share that experience. I think, Faith, you wanted me to talk a little bit about the Hope House Foundation. I have been a board member probably for the past 5 years now, but got involved as a volunteer maybe 3 or 4 years prior to that. And our main objective is we help women and their children during transitional times of homelessness get a roof over their head, get them out of pretty bad situations, whether it's due to domestic abuse or just really falling on hard times, or, again, cost of living for everybody across the board has gone up over the past several years. And to be able to get them off the streets and get a roof over their head and get the kids a good solid foundation when it comes to their education, and also provide resources to these women to be able to, get back on their feet, whether it's, budgeting or help applying for different type of special assistance programs in the area. But we were at full capacity. We still are at full capacity. And, unfortunately, homelessness isn't going away. So the invest in others and really giving back, bringing back more money back home to the community has been a huge thing. Because again, I do think if we're able to stay at full capacity and we're able to take these families in one family at a time is a powerful thing. And in the meantime, what we have done is we have started investing in cottages. So it's not just one main campus now. We actually have a transitional program that puts these women and children into homes until we can find some type of a kind of next step for them as far as housing goes, either on their own or through subsidized programs. So it's neat to kind of see that next step for us. And if it hadn't been for the money we were awarded with Invest in Others, I think that would have been a lot slower process. So it really does speak a lot to my heart that really anything is possible. I heard about Invest in Others through Jeff Bavacqua, who is part of Cambridge's higher up that actually sits on the board. And if I am not mistaken, ladies, I think he is going to be chairing the board this year. I may have misunderstood that, but okay, thanks for the nods. I didn't want to overstep what I thought I knew. And that came through our broker dealer, who is Cambridge Investment Research. So however you found out about it, and to get you here again, I send you the utmost congratulations, because I know it is a tremendous pool of applicants, and Invest in Others and the team, they really do a fantastic job at narrowing that down and, going through kind of that nomination process. So if you have made it to the call this far, you are already at the cream of the crop. So again, I want to congratulate everybody. And if you have any questions, again, probably one of the most awesome yet humbling experiences I have ever had in my entire life, is certainly in my professional career. So I appreciate you letting me be on this call today. And if anybody has any questions or feedback or wants to know more, please feel free to contact me direct. I'm happy to share what an amazing experience this was.
Thank you so much, Kristen. We really appreciate having you on the call, and what you've spoken to really speaks to our mission at Invest in Others. Our whole purpose is to amplify the charitable work of the financial services community, and we can only hope through this program and our other programs that we can make an impact through the incredible work that you and your colleagues and peers do. And so thank you again for your time today. And if you're comfortable with it, I will share your information with the attendees just in case they would like to reach out. And as a reminder, I'll send this deck out to everyone after the fact, so you can go ahead and you'll be able to click that link and learn a little bit more about Kristen, Hope House Foundation, and the Invest in Others Awards. But thank you again, Kristen, and we'll continue on. And you're welcome to stay on or hop off if you want. It's whatever you would like.
Okay, I may do a combination of the both, but I can't thank you enough for having me today. And good luck, everybody. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. Excellent. And so now we'll go over a little bit about the process for the IIO Awards. I'll turn it over to Jess.
Great, thank you, Faith. So this chart here shows our process at a glance. You've already made it through the first 2 steps, the nomination form and the eligibility check, and you're now at the application form. As a reminder, applications must be completed by April 26th as judging begins promptly on May 3rd. And Faith is going to guide you in a live demo for how to access the application, just in case not everybody has logged in yet.
Thank you, Jess. All right. So, everyone who is on this call has received an email that looks something like this, that should be on your screen, congratulating you on being nominated. So, this email will also include a PDF copy version of kind of like a high-level overview of what to expect in part 2 of the application. If you've already registered an account with our portal, you'll receive this as a follow-up email, which has your account login information. If you have never registered to our application portal before, you won't receive this. You'll receive an email that looks slightly different. It will look like this. And so once you receive that second email that gives you access to the portal and you're logged in, that will take you to a page that should look like this. So once you're logged in, you'll be able to see all of your in-progress applications, your submitted applications, and then part 2 should populate here. I do want to acknowledge that some individuals do not have stage 2 populated. I'm working with our application vendor to resolve this issue, but if you haven't already reached out to me, please reach out at info@investindothers.org and we will resolve that. But once you click that, it should automatically take you to part 2 of the application. And so if you run into any issues, feel free to reach out to us at info@investindothers.org. All right, and so now I will turn it back over to our PowerPoint deck.
All right, are we back on there, this deck?
We are.
Perfect. So, this at a high level is all the information that you are going to need to complete as part of the application form, and we're going to talk about each of these today. So when you were invited to apply, a PDF was included in that email that has all of this information. This is also available on our website or within your application form itself. So starting with about the nonprofit, section really tries to set the background for the nonprofit environment in which the advisor is contributing. So we're really looking to learn more about the organization. Firstly, what's the mission? We're also going to be asking about the area of impact. So for example, if the nonprofit is focused on, is it focused on education or health and wellness? Then we'll also give the opportunity to give a subcategory. So again, area of impact, but a little bit more specific. For example, if the broader area of impact is health and wellness, a subcategory may be cancer research. We're also going to be looking to know what need does the nonprofit address. What gaps in community services or what gaps is the nonprofit trying to address? So for example, are they trying to close a gap in financial literacy or raise funds for an under-researched medical condition? So very related to the overall mission, but a little bit more specific. We'll be asking for some key numbers and metrics, such as numbers served, both annually and since the nonprofit's inception. We'll be looking for a description and some demographics of the population or populations which the nonprofit works to serve. Now, if your nonprofit doesn't track these types of metrics we're asking for, we recommend that the organization does its best to give us a good estimate. There's some optional open response fields in this section of the application. Should you wish to offer any additional explanations or let us know that the numbers and metrics that you're giving us are estimates. There's also an option to select not applicable under the demographics in the event that your organization doesn't track to this level of detail. In this section, we'll also be asking for annual operating budget, annual expenses, number of board members, FTEs, and some volunteer stats. Again, this is really just to help to provide some context to the advisor's contributions. Did my screenshot stop sharing here?
It did, but let's see.
Let me get
If you're
back.
not able to get it back up, I'm happy to take over.
Sorry about that, everyone.
It's all good. Got to work with technology.
Are we
I
back on
see. Yeah, I can see your screen.
the correct
Perfect.
slide?
Mhm.
Okay. As I was saying, about the annual operating budget, so providing some context to the advisor's contributions. Most orgs are required to file a 990 annually with the IRS. These are all numbers that appear on that first page of the long form. So your 990 will be a great resource to consult for these numbers that we're asking for. And Faith will talk a bit about the next section.
Thanks, Julia. So the next section is about the advisor. The questions about the advisor are responses that will most closely be evaluated by our judges. So these are very important to complete comprehensively. This is your opportunity to really brag about your contributions to the nonprofit. I know that that is not something that all of us love doing, but we really encourage you to not be shy and take this opportunity to really shine. Some of the things that we look for in this section, hours per month. So how much you contribute per month, not per week or per year. And if you don't have an exact number, use your best estimate. If it changes month to month, go ahead and just add it up cumulatively and divide that number by 12 just to give us your best estimate of the hours you've committed to that nonprofit. We also look for leadership positions and dates of service. So say you've served on a committee or the nonprofit board, please provide that information as well as the duration of that term. And then in addition to that, volunteer duties and responsibilities. So this is a drop-down field and you're able to select as many that fit the bill. So some of those include, bookkeeping, marketing, fundraising. There's a wide variety of services you could provide to the nonprofit. And speaking to that, if you provide pro bono financial planning or investment management services, please use this opportunity to briefly describe them. We understand that depending on your firm, you may not be able to provide these services, but that is not a make or break. We're just trying to get a holistic idea of your contributions to the nonprofit, and we fully recognize that individuals may contribute in different ways. And we in fact want to see that wide variety of contributions to nonprofits. We also ask for personal donations in the last 3 years. And so, we understand that you may not want to disclose this information and you're not being solely evaluated on how much you gave. It's really just looking at whether or not you are personally invested in the work of the nonprofit. And if you're not comfortable disclosing an exact amount, go ahead and put the number 1, and add a note in the open response box below. And then just a side note about non-cash items. This is, the value of supplies or equipment you've donated to the nonprofit. For example, say you bought new soccer nets, go ahead and list that there. Or maybe you bought backpacks. Again, you can list that item within the application. And then if you're assisting in any fundraising capacity, how much money you personally raised in the last 3 fiscal years. So we ask that you don't look at this as all the money that the organization has raised in a year, but more specifically, how much you have helped personally raise. And again, this is not, if you are not involved in fundraising at the nonprofit, that is not a no-go for us. Again, we're just trying to get a really good picture of your contribution. And then the advisor story. These are 4 open-ended questions, narrative style if you'd like. And this is your opportunity to really bring your story to life and pull at some heartstrings. again, we would love to hear you brag about your work with the nonprofit. So first we asked, why is this cause important to you? Don't tell us about the specific organization just yet, or we really want to understand why the cause that the nonprofit supports is meaningful to you. So for example, if the organization is focused on financial literacy, why is financial literacy important to you? The second question we ask is, what motivated you to become involved with the nonprofit in the first place? So this is specific to the nonprofit you were nominated for. What about the work that they do really excited you to give back in such a big way? We ask that you don't tell us you got involved just because a colleague invited you to one of their volunteer events. That will not stand out as much. We ask that you speak from the heart and you know let us know why you continue to contribute your time and energy to this organization year after year. The third question that we ask is, how have you made an impact on the nonprofit and the community it serves? We love for you to look at a micro and macro level. What have you done to impact the nonprofit, and then how does that ripple out and affect the larger community as a whole? And then lastly, we would love for you to describe your proudest achievement through the work at this nonprofit. Again, I'll say it again, this is your chance to brag and stand out. And we fully recognize that this can vary from person to person and organization to organization. So take this opportunity to speak from the heart and write about what you're really proud of at this organization. Excellent. And with that, I'll toss it over to Jess to talk about our different award categories.
Thank you. So the 5 different award categories are really meant to recognize the different ways that advisors give back to nonprofits. And again, I want to emphasize that the submissions are evaluated based on the advisor's work and not the needs of the nonprofit. So when selecting a category, think about how you have helped, not the type of work that the nonprofit does. So of the 5 categories, Catalyst focuses on advisors who have either started a nonprofit or rejuvenated one. So think entrepreneurial, think taking initiative. Community service is really for advisors who have served a nonprofit with distinction as a board member, fundraiser, or other executive leadership position. The majority of the applications we receive every year are for this category. So again, think leadership and board service. When Kristen spoke to you earlier in this call, she was in the community service category, and she mentioned that she had been on the board, serving on the board. So again, that's a good fit there. Emerging impact is our newest category. We introduced that 2 years ago, and it's really to recognize rising stars. Advisors have to be 45 or younger to apply for this category, and now it's our second most popular category. Think next gen leadership there. Volunteer of the year is for the advisors who really roll up their sleeves and focus on volunteering their time. So think hands-on. And finally, Lifetime Achievement is our most prestigious award for advisors who have been involved with their nonprofit for at least 20 years, really serving with distinction and creating a lasting impact and legacy. So think longevity here. Have you consistently contributed at a high level of engagement over those 20 years? Then this would be the category for you. So we do ask as part of this step in the application if you're open to being considered for other categories. And I highly recommend you say yes. Once all of the applications have been received, we review them within each category to make sure they're a good fit. And this gives us the flexibility to move your submission into a category where you may be a little bit more competitive. And then speaking of the categories, there's really no difference in the award amounts except for lifetime achievement. The recipients in Catalyst, Community Service, Volunteer of the Year, and Emerging Impact each receive $60,000 for their nonprofits, and the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient receives $100,000. The 2 remaining finalists in each of the 5 categories then go home with $25,000 each, And then 15 advisors are honored in each of the 5 categories as honorable mentions, and they will receive $2,000 each. So a total of 90 charities will receive $740,000 through this program alone this year. And as you know, these can be game-changing amounts of money that can really make a significant impact on nonprofits and those that they serve. And I'm going to hand it back over to Julia to go over the required attachments.
Okay, so the required attachments, your nonprofit letter of support is a really critical component of the judging process. So this should be written by a representative of the nonprofit, typically the ED or another executive that works closely with the nominee. If your nonprofit doesn't have a professional staff, then this can be written by a board member or a volunteer whom you work closely with and can speak well to your contributions. The purpose of the letter is really twofold. One, it's part of our due diligence process, just to kind of confirm the extent of the advisor's involvement. Two, really to tell the advisor's story from the nonprofit's perspective. You know, the nonprofit can sing someone's praises in a way that an individual might not be comfortable doing so for themselves. So we really want to hear how the advisor has made an impact. And with this, I will say that the judges are looking for concrete examples and results rather than just platitudes, although platitudes are great. So really those concrete examples and results. Try to keep the letter to 750 words, you know, depending on font size and formatting. This can take you to nearly 2 pages. Again, if you focus on the results rather than platitudes, the word count maximum really shouldn't be an issue. Now, additional required attachments, and you know, in addition to the letter, these will not be reviewed by the judges. Really, these materials are for the professional staff to get a head start if you are selected as a finalist. So we'll ask for a nonprofit logo. You should be able to request this from the nonprofit. This field is required, but if the nonprofit you're working with doesn't have a logo, you can submit another marketing photo instead. And then we will ask for a marketing photo, at least one. We recommend submitting a photo that the nonprofit might use for its own marketing purposes, or something, you know, a visual of the nominee in action, being hands-on, volunteering within the nonprofit. If your nonprofit works with a population that you're unable to photograph, you know, with privacy considerations, again, we would just ask you to submit whatever photos the organization might use to market itself. And finally, we will ask for an advisor headshot. If you don't have an official headshot, submit something that you may use on your firm's website or perhaps your LinkedIn profile. You can also easily take a nice headshot with an iPhone these days. So just submit something that you are comfortable with potentially a wide audience seeing. And I will hand it over now to Faith to talk a bit about the judging process.
Excellent. Thank you, Julia. So, judging process. You've answered all the questions in the application, you've uploaded your attachments, and you've pressed submit. What happens next? So first, you'll receive an automated email with a copy of your submission. Second, within a week of the application deadline, we'll send you an email from our grant management system to confirm that the application has been received and released for judging. Just a reminder that all system-generated emails come from mail@grantapplication.com, so please be sure that it's marked as a safe sender and or added to your contacts. The application then will undergo multiple rounds of review and judging, which begins promptly after the application deadline of April 26th. The final round of judging is when a panel of industry professionals, including reps from media companies, industry associations, and other industry influencers, review and score the top 10 applications in each category. We then hold a series of judging calls, again, one per category, where after much discussion and voting, the 3 finalists are agreed upon, including which of the 3 will be the category recipient. The judges often grapple with tough decisions. As you can tell, there are a decent amount of people on this call, and we also had a webinar on Friday. So it is tough competition, but we know that you are all more than worthy of receiving this award. So again, just tying it back to the application, make sure to brag about yourself. That way, when the judges get to the point of reviewing your applications, you really float to the top. And then try and limit biases as much as possible. All identifying information such as the advisor's name, firm name, and broker dealers / custodian are removed, and only the charity name remains. And then we'll go into judging criteria. So as far as how the submissions are being evaluated, on your screen, you'll see the different categories that our judges look at. So within each respective category, the applications are scored on these five criteria. So impact, dedication, contribution, leadership, and inspiration, which map to many of the questions asked throughout the application. This is why the section about the advisor is critical to completing the application. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Jess to talk about a little bit more of timeline and announcements before we go into our Q&A.
Great, thank you. So judging wraps up in mid-June. If you're selected as a finalist, you'll be personally notified by the end of June. And the public finalist announcement this year is planned for July 15th. In addition to our marketing efforts, which will include an announcement on our website, email, social media, a press release, you will also receive tools including press release templates, graphics, and suggested language to help you, your firm, and charity really market this honor. If you're selected as an honorable mention, you'll be notified in early July prior to the public announcement on July 15th. Honorable mentions are listed on our website, and you'll also receive some marketing tools. A quick note about honorable mentions: we're able to recognize an additional 15 advisors per category as honorable mentions. And these submissions were also top scoring, but just often not as high as the finalist and recipient. But please do not be discouraged. Many honorable mentions have reapplied and gone on to be honored as finalists or recipients. So again, it is so many of the submissions that we receive are really worthy, and the judges certainly have their work cut out for them to try to compare and select the top 3 there. So on to Julia for the gala.
So our awards program culminates in the annual Invest in Others Awards Gala every September in Boston. This year will be hosted at the Omni in Seaport. We're anticipating more than 700 attendees this year, so we're really very excited. It's a lot like the Oscars in the fact that nobody knows who the winners are until literally an envelope is opened up on stage. Our marketing partner, Jay Connolly, creates these incredible videos on each finalist, which are then played as part of the awards presentation. There's rarely a dry eye in the house. We're currently securing corporate sponsorships for the gala, but individual ticket sales will open up in July.
Thank you, Julia. And one thing about the videos is that the videos for our past finalists are embedded in their pages on our website. So if you're ever looking for some inspiration or some additional ideas as to sort of the type of work that those who have received the recognition and funding from us have received in the past, please go ahead and look at our website. Could also give you some ideas as to, what to focus on in your own applications. You never know where that inspiration will come from. So to wrap up, applications are accepted online through April 26th. The finalists and honorable mentions will be announced on July 15th, and then the recipients will be announced at the annual gala in Boston on September 19th. And we are going to move on into the FAQ and Q&A part of our session today.
Thank you very much, Jess. Before we get started on our Q&A, I just want to remind everyone how to utilize the Q&A function. So on the bottom of your screen, there is a button that says Q&A with two like talk boxes. If you click that link, you can submit a question there. As a reminder, all questions submitted there, unless you submit anonymously, will be open for everyone in this webinar to read. But go ahead and submit any questions there, not just for us, but if you have any questions for Kristen, this is a good opportunity to answer some of those or ask those questions here, but I'll go ahead and read some of the questions that have already been asked. Someone asked if for the pro bono financial planning part, is that only pertaining to the nonprofit they're applying with? So yes, please only submit information pertaining to the nonprofit you're nominated with. That will allow us to have a full picture of your contributions at the organization. Another individual asks, what are the word limits on the open responses? There is a 150 word count limit on the open responses. And then another question that we've received is, does the nonprofit organization get their own link to submit, or do we upload their responses under our account? Who do they reach out to if they have not received their own link? So due to our current system, we have some limitations and restrictions. We're only able to have one individual on the application at a time. So part 2 is typically transferred directly to the financial advisor for them to complete part 2, just because those questions are a little bit more directly related to their own personal experience with the nonprofit. However, it's not uncommon for us to transfer that transfer part 2 to a nonprofit representative or another individual to help work on it with the financial advisor. So if that's the case, just have them reach out to info@investinothers.org and we will happily transfer the application.
And I would also add to that too, since you have that attachment in the initial invitation email outlining all of the questions, you can always collaborate together, the advisor and the nonprofit, sort of comprehensively on all of those responses. And then one person can be the one logging in to actually enter the information in and upload everything. So, while there are restrictions on only one person having access to the application at a time, there are ways that you can all collaborate together.
Thank you, Jess. All right, let me pull up some other questions that were submitted in advance of the webinar, and let's see. An individual asked how many applicants are included in each year's nomination. So we receive anywhere from, we can receive up to 700 applications in a year. And then roughly about 75% of the nominations that we receive, 75% of those nominees submit part 2 of the application. Let's see what else. Someone asked if we prefer that the financial advisor fills out the application or the nonprofit. That speaks to the question Jess and I answered before. It's really up to you. This can be a collaborative effort. Can also be the sole responsibility of either the financial advisor or a representative from the nonprofit. It's really up to you to decide who you think best tells the story of the financial advisor and the organization. An individual asked if they qualify for the Lifetime Achievement Award and at least one other category. How do you decide which to choose? If you qualify for Lifetime Achievement, because that is our biggest award, we'd recommend that you just move forward with that. But regarding the other categories, if you're unsure which to select, go ahead and click that box that allows us to reshuffle you into any category. That way you have the most opportunity at receiving an award. I know that we have 1 minute before the end of this webinar, so I'm going to take this last opportunity to for any last minute questions before we end at 1:45 Eastern. And the clock just changed to 1:45. So with that, I just want to once again want to thank everyone for joining us today. Kristen, thank you so much for your time today and sharing a little bit more about your experience and more importantly, your work with Hope House Foundation. You're doing incredible work and we thank you so much. So thank you, Kristen. And with that, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. And if you're in the path of the eclipse, I hope you all get to see it and protect your eyes. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.